Make a difference, because trade matters. The world awaits you. The time to export is now.
Welcome back to part 2 of the mid-tier companies market immersion series here with MATRADE. I'm delighted now to be joined by Mike Anderson from AMBC, the president here in AMBC Victoria. Hi Mike, thanks for joining me.
Lawrence, thank you for having me here.
Always a pleasure, Mike. Mike, you've seen in part 1 and we're about to kick off part 2 of this series. There's some fantastic companies who are showcasing what they can offer to Australian businesses. But apart from just the great products and services they offer, I know that you've got amazing experience in helping companies from all over the world, especially Malaysia, come into Australia the right way, understand the compliance, the regulations. So can you tell us a bit about that and what they need to consider?
Yes, certainly. One of the biggest considerations is compliance. Australia has a lot of standards which companies should make sure they adhere to. And quite often when we have delegations coming from Malaysia, as an example, they get quite a shock to find that the standards back in their home country compared to Australia are quite different. There might be just simple things that going. We had a case not so long ago when a company from Malaysia wanted to bring in a lighting product, but it didn't comply to Australian standards because it had no means for letting the heat actually escape from the light.
Right.
And so if that product had been used, it may have caused a fire, which negates insurances and the issues that could be faced in those areas. So the guys had to go back and rejig a little bit of their product development.
And I think that's what's so important about your role and the AMBC's role, Mike, is that Australian companies will see these episodes, they'll get excited about what's available to them to buy and who they can do business with, but they need to be able to navigate the right way to jump through all the hoops, make sure that the boxes are ticked so that everyone's covered from a proper due diligence perspective and they can sell as successfully as possible into the market. Yes,
very much so. And we're lucky on the AMBC Board of Management that the majority of our board are accountants and legal people, and they can also put you in contact with other interested parties that might want to take on a product or a distribution or whatever it might be.
Yeah, fantastic. I know this year's been a challenge for everyone around the world, and AMBC normally hold a whole range of great events and you really provide that conduit between Australia and Malaysia. How have you found this year, obviously, we're trying to support your members and trying to still do things like this to encourage opportunities between the two countries?
Yes, look, we've still been able to continue our webinar series. We had a hookup not all that long ago with our sister organisation, the Malaysia-Australia Business Council, and also the AMBC in New South Wales and ACT. And so collectively we put through some case studies which allowed people who are interested in understanding the Australian market and also the Malaysian market, gave them the opportunity to hear firsthand about the problems and the experiences that these companies had.
Yeah, fantastic. Mike, you just touched on something there I want to express to the viewers, is that you're the president here in Victoria and there's specific chapters around the country. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, look, AMBC Victoria was the first of the AMBC organisations to be established, and that was way back in 1973.
Wow.
We've grown over the years. We've got a very broad database of members, but we've even got a broader database of friends and colleagues, so that when we promote things, we go out to a large mass. All the mainland states have a AMBC or equivalent to what we do here, and they all run slightly differently, but it gets the message across that we are there to support both import, exporters, cultural side of things, investors, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And we'll do our best to try and link people together to get the best result for those organisations.
Yeah. Oh, you've been a fantastic conduit for many decades to really bridge that gap between opportunities and activation. So congratulations on all that.
Thank you.
We're about to kick off a whole range of other interviews now with another series of Malaysian companies. So thanks so much for joining us. Thanks for kicking off part 2 with me. And we're looking forward to having a wrap-up conversation with yourself, Jamila and Julius, at the end of this series. But Mike, what's the best way for companies to really tips and advice who are viewing this and think, what, I really want to find out more about that company in Malaysia? They'll obviously go to Jamila and Julius at MATRADE to get those contact details and start the relationship going. But I suppose consecutively, it's probably worthwhile for them to be reaching out to A&BC as well to understand not just the particular business opportunity, but the cultural awareness, the business landscape, and how to really do business successfully between the two countries.
Yes, look, I've worked with Jamila and I've worked with her predecessors, and quite often I get invited to go do a briefing with any inbound trade mission that comes, so we can go through, talking the Australian English, we can talk about things that are specific to our market, and ensure that when Malaysian companies go out in the broader marketplace, they are fully conversant with everything from cultural changes to business compliance rules and taxation and everything else.
Fantastic. Great. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for being part of the series. Appreciate it.
Lawrence, thank you for the opportunity.
Great. So you've just heard from Mike Anderson there from A&BC. As you've heard, they can really give you a whole range of skills and insights and advice on how to not just do a transaction or a business transaction with Malaysian companies, but to really emphasise and strengthen the relationships, which is so important with international trade. So stick around after the break, and we'll be coming up with another new company from Malaysia as part 2 of this series kicks off for the Market Immersion series. Cheers. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of MATRADE's mid-tier company Market Immersion series here on Import-Export TV. We're delighted to showcase a whole range of fantastic companies from Malaysia who want to do business with Australian companies over here. So today's episode, similar to the first one on part 1, is all about showcasing all these companies and bringing them to you right on the digital platform through IATV. To kick off today's episode on part 2, we're joined by Nick Hafizi, who's the export manager of Adabi Consumer Industries. Hi, Nick, how are you?
Hi, morning. I'm okay. How are you, Lawrence?
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, Nick. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Nick, before we kick off, please tell us about Adabi Consumer Industries. What are the type of products that you offer?
Adabi Consumer is basically one of the most known brand in Malaysia. We are a local brand made in Malaysia. The product that we have is basically all these. We have the curries product. We have a lot of range actually. We have curries by Adabi, and then we have the soup product. We have the paste product. A lot of other products actually. The company has been established since 1984 in Malaysia. And after 35 years, we are basically one of the market leaders in Malaysia for all the FMCG products.
Fantastic. It sounds like many of the Malaysian viewers watching this episode, not just in Australia but abroad too, must be getting very hungry already thinking about the Adabi products from back home. Nick, do you currently export to Australia, or what other markets are you covering already?
We are in many countries in the world. Our main export goes to the United Kingdom. That's the main one. And we go to Japan. For the Asian countries, we are in Singapore, we are in Brunei, we are in Thailand, we are in Indonesia. We are quite big in Indonesia, actually. In Australia, we do have some importers, but at the moment, I think I'm still finding the right partners for me to expand into Australia.
Great. Well, I'm sure that's why you're part of this whole program in Immersion Market Entry Series. So, Nick, let's talk about Australia a little bit more. So, as you say, you've got some small importers, but you're looking to find some really stronger partners and bigger opportunities within the Australian market. What are the things that, obviously there's a lot of Malaysian expats, a lot of students who come here and study, and there's many of them would know the Adabi brand already, as you've said. But even for Australian consumers, people who aren't Malaysian, the appetite for curries and spicy food and different cuisines is growing all the time. So
Yes.
what are the type of partners you're looking for? Are you looking for someone who can distribute to not only Asian food stores, but more conventional Western stores as well? What are the type of partners you'd like to find?
Okay, for me, I look at Australian market is more or less the same like the UK market and the USA market. Okay, for me, the market is segregated into three main market. One is actually, of course, the mainstream market. Okay, second is more towards the Oriental supermarket kind of thing, and then the last one is more towards the Middle Eastern kind of market. Okay. In UK, our focus has been more towards the Oriental supermarkets. Of course, we would like to go into the mainstream market. However, well, that's what we're looking for actually.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for, partners.
Great. And in relation to those three segments, and it's a great way that you've explained it, because for companies or even individuals who are viewing this episode, it's a great way that you've identified those three categories, especially for companies coming into the Australian market. So you've done it very well. And it's a great way to identify the right type of distribution partners or agents who want to work with you, because they might put their hand up and say, look, Nick, we can help you get into the conventional market, or we can help you get into the Middle Eastern market or Asian market segments. So it's a great way that people who are viewing this episode can start to say, yes, these are my opportunities that I want to talk with Nick about for Adabi. Now, one of the things that it's really important for this is when you look at the Australian food labelling and you look at certifications, tell us a little bit about Adabi. Do you have things like halal or other type of certifications, and what are the type of labelling support that you can provide to Australian companies who want to work with you as well?
Okay, our company is basically halal certified. We are, well, all of our products are halal, and we do have the HACCP and the GMP for our canned product. Our labeling at the moment, okay, the Malaysian standard and then the Australian standard is a bit different. However, we can cater into that one. So far, what we're doing is, of course, we're using the sticker to basically follow the Australian requirements.
Yeah.
Okay? Because at the moment, the demand is not big enough for us to what we call that, change the whole packaging just to cater for the Australian market. That's what we're doing for most of the export countries, like UK's, Netherlands, and also at the moment, yes, we're using the sticker. Okay? Yeah. We got no problem to change it if the demand is good. Yeah. And so far, we can cater to all the requirements requested or been by the Australian, those customs requirement and everything. We can cater to that.
Fantastic. And it sounds like, the products are shelf stable. They're not chilled or perishable. They're pretty much shelf stable type products. Is that, or do you have a mix of different products?
Most of our products are basically, the lifespan will be about 24 months to 18 months kind of thing. Okay, most of it. We do have some which at the lower, what they call that, the expiry date goes into 1 year, but it depends on the market, and we can cater to, let's say, if you have a specific requirement, we might be able to adjust to that. That's what we're doing with the Japan market actually, because Japan market is very strict about those
expiry dates,
kind of thing. So we do cater to that.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like, Nick, that you've got a lot of support, you've got a lot of export experience yourself and as a business. So for all the Australian viewers out here who are looking to, they've seen this episode, they want to get involved, they've got a lot of confidence to know that you've already got expertise, and you're happy to help them make sure that they enter the Australian market as smoothly and as profitably as possible. So, it sounds like you're going to be a great partner to work with. It'll be great for all the viewers out there to get in touch with you. I know they can reach out to MATRADE here in Australia, but what's the other way they can find out a bit more about Adabi?
Well, of course, you can go into our website, which is www.adabi.com. Okay, and they can also send inquiry direct to me. Actually, I'll provide the email to you later.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, Nick. It's been a great pleasure to have you on the show. And it sounds like the products are really delicious and they're serving a whole range of markets, and all the other countries around the world can't be wrong. So looking forward to having more of the Adabi products across Australia.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Lawrence.
All right, take care. Stay safe.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So they've heard from Nick Hafizi, who's the export manager there at Adabi Consumer Industries. They're already one of Malaysia's favourite consumer brands on F&B and food and beverages. So reach out. I'm sure you can do some great business with them here in Australia. Coming up after the break, we're going to be talking to Smart Reader with Kevan Ong as well about their educational products around Australia as well. So we'll see you very soon. Welcome back, everyone. Now I've got the absolute pleasure of being joined by Kevan Ong, who's the Executive Director for Smart Reader over in Malaysia. Hi, Kevan. How are you?
Hi, Lawrence. Doing very well. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for being part of this amazing MATRADE special series. Now,
thank you for the invitation.
Oh, always a pleasure. Kevan, please tell us about Smart Reader. I mean, I know that's a whole range of educational products, but can you please tell me a bit more detail about what Smart Reader does?
Sure, Lawrence. Well, Smart Reader Kids is actually an early education franchise. We started back in the year 2000s, and to date, we have about 300 plus centers worldwide, including our centers in Australia, in Yarra Valley, as well as Watirina South and Baldwin as well. So what we actually do is that we offer kindergarten services, childcare services, and after-school education services as well. So we're a franchise system and franchise concept whereby we provide our customers the business model, the know-how, the materials, as well as the training in order to operate our business system.
Great. And you mentioned that you're already in 300 locations. What other markets or what other countries have been the biggest sort of areas for Smart Reader so far?
Oh, well, we're a homegrown product from Malaysia, of course. So our biggest market is definitely Malaysia. Mm-hmm. But we have our presence in around countries in Southeast Asia, in the Middle East, and of course, as I mentioned, in Australia.
Yeah, great. And you've already got into the Australian market. It sounds like here in Victoria, and I'm assuming the reason why you've come into this market immersion mission is to grow that quite much bigger here in the Australian market and to find more franchisees.
Yes, that is our intention. Well, we do see a very good opportunity for expansion in Australia. As many Australians know, and also residents of Australia know, the childcare and kindergarten services in Australia is a very big booming industry. Demand is very large among parents. And also, there are certain segments of the market that are not very well serviced at the moment. I think our operations in Australia specifically, we've done very well to be able to offer a unique concept where we do dual language sort of a kindergarten early education services in Australia, mainly focusing in English and Chinese languages. So we're actually able to penetrate, as I said, an underserved market segment in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. And as you say, that bilingual skill set is something that a lot of Australian parents and parents of migrant descendants here are really keen to make sure that their children and future generations can have that skill set. So with that in mind, Kevan, who are the type of companies, or what's a typical type of company that you'd like to talk to, and how do you identify the ideal franchisees?
Okay. Well, essentially, we don't actually limit ourselves to work just with companies alone. But of course, if anyone's interested in early years education services or do similar industries in childcare services or even run their own childcare and kindergarten services, these are the people that we can actually help to further develop their current business models. We have a concept in Australia where we don't only provide a franchise system, but we also help to run and manage the operations. So we include part of the services to train their teaching staff in order to conduct our system. In addition to that, we provide solutions for them, the maximization of their business model output. So many childcare and kindergarten services in Australia at the moment, they're sort of many of the operations are under optimization. So we don't, many people don't look into how they can actually increase the capacity inside the center by adjusting the layouts, share professional services for teachers, lead educators between different outfits. So we were able to actually look into these things because we've already have experience doing services like this in different countries, and then have also had that similar strategy implemented in our operations in Australia as well.
Yeah, fantastic. I think that, as you say, having the smart reader capability into a childcare centre, whether it's through an off-site provider coming in or even the childcare centre themselves being a licensee or franchisee, I should say, that I'm sure would create an extra value add that many parents will, when they're comparing centres, what they offer, I'm sure it sounds like smart reader will be a major tick in the box to really convince parents to send their children to those type of centres.
Yep. Well, our system of education is based upon a very simple concept of making the learning simple and fun. So we're not entirely a sort of memorization system, for a lot of the students to just keep practicing and practicing on. So a lot of our materials are developed along the concepts of providing the learning exposure through three main ways, which is through the audio-visual stimulation as well as kinesthetic stimulation. So when many children come to learn at our centers, basically they find it a joy to do these activities because it's not just learning through book materials, but through games, through music, through a mix of video presentations as well as in-person presentations, and through the songs that we actually provide as well to the learning environment. Besides that, all our rooms are thematic based. So each of the classes are based upon the subjects that they actually learn. So every child, when they actually go into a different room, they're prepared mentally to actually begin learning a different subject altogether. So what we see here is that it's a very holistic, developed program where we cover all hosts of subjects for the children to prepare themselves. At the same time, we do it in a way that's fun and simple for them to actually understand. I might add as well, we actually do all the books, the songs, the games, the videos, the online materials, everything is done in-house by us. And it's only available exclusively for our franchisees as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I think they didn't really teach us those ways back in my day, but it sounds like there's great fun and great ways to interact and learn that other languages.
Yeah, well, definitely the great satisfaction is looking at the joy of the children when they actually, not only do they progress and learn, but they also always put on a happy face or always have a smile on their faces when they're in the class and in the centers.
Great. Well, Kevan, it's been amazing to have you on today's show. I think that there's so many companies out there and viewers out there, as you say, not just companies, who are watching this episode and would love to know more about trying to get those increased language skills and the smart reader information. What's the best way they can reach out and find out more?
Oh, they can definitely contact us at our email address at smartreader.edu.my. Failing which, they can also contact me personally at kevan.ong at smartreader.edu.my. We'll provide the contact. Of course, they can also reach out to MATRADE to get the contact details directly from MATRADE as well. And we have our outfits in Australia too. We very much encourage any interested parties to visit us, as you said, in Victoria. Thankfully, many people can visit Victoria now, unlike a couple of months ago. So very much welcome to see us there. You can Google Smart Reader Victoria and you can definitely find out our locations.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kevan. I'm sure, as you said, there's great ways to find out more. And the fact that you're already here in the Australian market is a good confidence booster as well for people who want to get more information and get more involved. I know Jamila and Julius here in MATRADE would be happy to support and provide those introductions to you as well. So thanks so much for joining us on today's show. Best of luck with all your market growth, not just in Australia, but globally. And we look forward to seeing you sometime in the future, sometime soon.
Thank you very much, Lawrence. Very, very happy with the invitation that was given to us. Thank you.
Likewise. Thanks, Kevan. Take care and stay well.
Thank you. You too.
So you've heard from Kevan Ong, who's the Executive Director of Smart Reader. They provide some great innovative solutions for languages right across the world, and they're already in Australia and they're looking to expand that further. So reach out, as you've heard, MATRADE can put you straight in touch. Coming up after the break, we're going to be speaking to Techbond Manufacturing. So they're all about their industrial adhesives. So stick around straight after this. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Market Immersion series here on IETV, a special series by MATRADE. Now I've got the pleasure to be joined by Seh Meng Lee, who's a Deputy Managing Director at Techbond Manufacturing in Malaysia. How are you?
Hi, good, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. I love the background. It's very bright and colourful.
Yep. It's a corporate colour.
Oh, is it really? Great. Fantastic. Seh Meng, please tell us about Techbond and what you're doing, what are the type of products you offer?
Sure. Techbond is an adhesive manufacturer in Malaysia and Vietnam. We manufacture water-based adhesive, hot melt adhesive, as well as sealant products. So we started off about 25 years ago with water-based adhesive and mainly catering for woodworking segment during that time. So it was used to laminate wood together to make into chairs, into furnitures, into door frames, window frames. So those would be for the wood segments. And of course, water-based adhesive, you can also use in many other areas as long as it allows the water base to absorb into the substrate. And then it allows the water to evaporate for the glue to dry off. So that will be water-based. In layman term, anything with water can be considered as water-based.
Right.
Okay. So subsequently, we moved to the production of hot melt with the effort of our R&D. So in hot melt adhesive, hot melt will be something that is 100% solid content without any water, without any solvent. Okay. Therefore, you will need to melt it in order to apply onto the substrate. One good example of hot melt would be the glue stick that we commonly see in the market, where we need to put in the glue gun and hit it, and then we melt it. That will be the glue stick. That will be the hot melt example. So hot melt products or hot melt adhesive is widely used in the packaging industry, where it is used to laminate cartons, used to stick straws onto the packaged drink that we buy. And it is also used in labeling process for the mineral water. So that will be hot melt adhesive application. And of course, there are other applications like book binding, mattress. There are so many more.
Great.
The other one will be sealant. That's our another product. Sealant product will be mainly used in the building and construction industry, where we can normally see in the building construction, where they actually use to seal the gaps. It is also used to seal windows. It is also used to stick a mirror onto the walls. So those will be sealant application. Yep. So in year 2018, Techbond actually went listed in the main board of Bursa Malaysia. Yep. That will be a very brief of Techbond's introduction.
Yeah, fantastic. No, I can see the diverse range of products. It's so many applications. So you started off with the woodworking sector, then you've expanded into that construction sector, and even with the hot glue, it sounds like you can do everything from packaging to food and bev. So it's a very diverse range of applications.
Yeah, that's correct.
Fantastic. Now, with those type of applications and diversity, what are the current export markets that you've already achieved success in with Techbond?
Okay. At this moment, Techbond is doing about 80% export sales from the perspective of Malaysia. So the countries that we export to will be countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Brunei, Cambodia, China, Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, Indonesia. It's all mainly in the Asian market. At this moment, we supply to about 15 countries, and we are still adding onto our list. Okay.
Yeah.
So who will be those typical customer of Techbond? Or in terms of application, perhaps I can summarize into 7 different industries.
Please.
The largest industry in Techbond will be woodworking segment, which I have just explained earlier. The second largest will be paper and packaging. Where paper and packaging industry, there are a lot of different application. For example, in the paper industry, most of the toilet tissue roll that we buy, there's a paper core in it that hold the tissue. So the paper core, in fact, it is using adhesive to apply onto the paper, and you roll it and laminate into a paper core. So that will be in the paper industry. And of course, paper bags would use adhesive to laminate as well. In the packaging industry, like I just explained earlier, carton application to seal the cartons, straw application. You can also use it for can labeling to stick labels onto the can, and even bottle labelings in the brewery industry, where they apply glue onto the label and it will stick on the glass bottle. So those are a very niche market where you cannot buy the adhesive anywhere in the market. In the DIY shop. Yeah. It is something very technical where we need to supply to only industry. Okay, and then we have the third segment will be medical and hygiene. Those will be in the diapers and sanitary napkin application, because diapers and sanitary napkins, in fact, the whole sheet of diapers and sanitary napkins would use glue, would use adhesive. Next to it will be automotive industry, and we are supplying to building and construction adhesive. We supply cigarette adhesive, we supply mattress adhesive. So those will be the 7 industry that we are currently supplying.
Wow, yeah, it's even more diverse than we thought initially. So some great applications, and it sounds like you've got some great R&D within the business as well. So you're obviously continuing to learn from one industry sector and apply that knowledge and expertise to other industry sectors as well.
Yes, correct. Yes, correct.
Okay. Seh Meng, what about the Australian market? Are you currently doing any exports to Australia? And if not, why are you so excited about the Australian market as part of this mission?
At this moment, we are not supplying to Australian market. So it is a virgin market to Techbond. And am I keen to enter Australian market? The answer is yes. There are 2 different perspectives. From the personal perspective, I used to study in Australia. So I'm always keen and excited to go back to Australia.
Yeah.
Yep. And in the business perspective, I think that's the key reason. Because I always think that Australia has a higher requirement in terms of quality and consistency demand or requirements. And this is one of the value that we can bring to Australian through our adhesive technology. Let me give you an example. A brewery factory would need to use those adhesive where the requirements will be 14 days, or some of them may have even higher requirements of ice water resistant. That would mean that in a very high speed application where they stick label onto bottles, after the bottles dry off, they will need to go through a different testing, and one of it will be ice water resistant, and a lot of glue is not able to pass the ice water resistant test. Now, after ice water resistant test, for example, of 14 days, and then they will need to take this bottle for recycle test. That means they will need to wash off the label. And to clean off the labels, it needs to be cleaned off within minutes. So within 2 minutes or 3 minutes in the process. So this is something very technical. And I believe Australian has this demand as well, or this requirement, where we think we can actually provide a solution to this kind of requirements. So this is one of the reasons why we think Australia is a good market, because our positioning actually match the requirements of Australian market.
Yeah, fantastic. And you've done a case study that's close to most Australians' heart when it comes to a brewery and application of labels. So it's a very smart case study, sorry. And
Yep.
I think that you're right. There's a lot of not just breweries and food and beverage processors here in Australia, but also the construction industry is a major industry. So for the sealants division, then there's a lot of packaging, there's a lot of paper and pulp operations as well that they do processing around here. So I'm sure that there'll be a number of companies watching this episode, hearing all those diverse applications. I'd love to get in touch. How do you go about identifying who the right partners are in Australia? Who are you hoping that you can connect with via this episode and via the mission?
Okay. We would like to get a distributor in Australia, if possible, who has relevant experience in the industry. So if they are not experienced in the adhesive industry, so likewise, we can also get companies who serve the same group of customer, because at least they would understand the requirements of the customer beforehand, right? So those can be a potential business partner who we can work with. There's no specific criteria per se at this moment until we speak and find out more on each other.
Yeah.
Well, apart from chemistry of both parties, I think it is also very important for companies to have mutual understanding and values in the ways of doing things. So it would be great if we can find people or companies to start having conversation with us in Australia.
Yeah, fantastic, Sammy. I like what you've said about the values and the way the communication style and the chemistry. It's so important to have a successful long-term business partnership, because it really is, your representation here in the market, and they need to, uphold your values and your brand integrity as well. So it's an important message. I think that it sounds like you're really looking for a B2B type partnership. You're not really going to B2C type solutions. It's more about industrial type applications.
Yes, correct. We are looking more to B2B, because for ourselves, we are B2B. Yeah. We are not so much of a B2C.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's much more than I thought about when I read the brief. You've got so many great applications, and as I said earlier, it sounds like it's always a growing opportunity with the type of products you're innovating all the time.
Yep.
Finally, how's the best way? I know that MATRADE will definitely be able to facilitate introductions, but in addition to MATRADE, what's the other way that viewers of this episode can get in touch and look at the whole range of applications that you might be able to offer?
Okay. You can go to Techbond Techbond's website, www.techbond.com.my. So MY stands for Malaysia.
Yeah.
And of course, if you have any question or if you would like to get in touch, of course, you can also contact MATRADE. And for more information, you can also go to YouTube, where you can search on Techbond's company profile, our corporate video, our application video. There are so many videos about Techbond in the YouTube site. Fantastic. As well. Yep.
Great. Well, there's some great applications, and I'm sure many viewers, as I said, will be really keen to talk to you. So thanks so much, Seh Meng. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today, and best of luck with your growth in the Australian market. And I'm sure you do very well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care, stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
So you've just heard from Seh Meng Lee, who is the Deputy Managing Director at Techbond Industries, Techbond Manufacturing, I should say, in Malaysia. So they've got a huge, diverse range of applications and products that, there's many sectors that they can cover. If you're a company who's interested to be one of their distributors or representatives, get in touch, and I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. Stick around after the break. We're going to be talking to Alumac Industries about some of their aluminium extrusions. So we'll see you very soon. Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Market Immersion series here on Import Export TV, a special for MATRADE here in Australia. Joining me now from Malaysia is CT Ung, who's the CEO of Alumac Industries. Hi, CT. How are you?
Hi, Lawrence. Yeah, thank you for having me here.
My pleasure. It's a wonderful backdrop, and a lot of the strengths that you've got are already there right in front of us. So it's a fantastic job with the backdrop. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, CT, obviously, let's talk about Alumac. Let's tell us about the products that you offer around the world and how they came about, the background with Alumac as well.
Yeah, allow me to share some background of Alumac. Alumac was established 26 years ago as a manufacturer of aluminum extrusions. So what is extrusion? Extrusion is a process where we ram an aluminum billets through the die with specific cross sections and create an extended profiles following the design. So our primary focus is to extrude based on customers' design specifications. So we mainly focus on extruding 6000 series alloy aluminum and as 1000 series as well. Our factory is located in Kuala Lumpur. So we have 3 extrusion presses and we can extrude to the maximum of 170 mm cross-section diameter for hollow sections and maximum of 230 mm width for flat bar. So for surface treatment, we have our anodizing facilities uses German chemical additives for better surface treatment as well as while maintaining safety and environment. For even better surface finishing, so we recommend sandblasting with anodizing. In addition, we also have thermal brake machine to incorporate polyamide strip between the 2 aluminum profiles for thermal barrier. Lastly, we have precision cutting facilities for customers that require profile at various lengths. So for interested party, so we will co-engineering with the potential customer to create better solutions together. So customer may send us the electronic drawings or profile samples, which we will conduct our assessment with new drawings. Free 3D printing samples can be provided for evaluations. So upon customer confirmation on the new drawings, we will then proceed with die fabrication. A pre-run extruded sample will be provided for approval before commencing the new actual production.
Great. So there's a whole range of expertise that you've got there, and I like the 3D modelling so that companies can really see how it's going to look before you go to the die process. Tell us about what are the typical types of applications and what are the export markets you're already servicing, CT?
Okay, 90% of our customers are manufacturing themselves. So our current customer will further work on our profile as parts and incorporating them into their products. So type of customers that uses our product, for example, profile structure to build automation and conveyor lines, for users profile for air handling units and cold room, profile as a use as frame in kitchen cabinet, wardrobe, open office partitions and whiteboard. So profile the users for security door frame, pans, and many more. Yes, we do export directly. We have customers in Australia, Singapore, the United States, Middle East, and previously we have done some to Switzerland too. We are significant in indirect export as well. So more than 50% of our customers have aluminum profiles in their products in which they are exporting.
Right. So there's a whole diverse cross-industry sectors there that you can work with so many different construction materials and, as you say, the indirect side as well. So there's a whole range of diverse applications. Now, you mentioned already, CT, that you're already in the Australian market in some way. What are you hoping to achieve out of the Market Immersion series that we're doing at the moment? Are you looking to find more distributors or a representative partner? What are you hoping to achieve here in Australia?
So, and actually, the Australia, the Malaysian, and we are basically working directly with companies that require customized profile extrusions. So, potential customers like the manufacturers of air handling units, cold room, customers that is in the automations line, builders that uses profile structures, and manufacturers that uses aluminum profile frame, and among many others. So we are open to explore with it. We also open to explore with local Australian companies which have complementary product which can solely join lead to their existing customers, to sell to the existing customers. So our motto is stronger together. So we believe in working together to deliver quality product and service with pricing in line with value provided.
Great. So that if a company's watching today on today's episode and they're involved with construction, cool room, refrigeration, security, even door products, a whole range of whiteboard product, office, anything that they can see where there's value to speak with Alumac and say, you know what, we want to be able to deal with you directly, and they can expand their service offering. So that's the type of companies you'd like to talk to.
Yes, and any company that uses aluminum product, aluminum profile as frames or anything, we can talk to them. We can co-engineer with the customer as well.
Fantastic. And you know, what are the type of things that why are you so excited about Australia? I know it's a growing market, but I think it sounds like construction is a big part of your business as well, and aluminium is obviously a very strong, lightweight, a whole range of diverse opportunities there. How long have you been in the Australian market, CT?
Okay, actually, we are excited about Australian market. Malaysia and Australia share many common values and goals, as we are both in Commonwealth countries. So many bilateral trade are ongoing between the two countries. MATRADE Australia have offices in each country. So furthermore, I think many Malaysians have some sort of affiliation with Australia, ranging from those who have graduated from Australia, having children who study in Australia, like myself, and some of my friends who have migrated, family members and friends, property investment, and many more. So when the opportunity arrives to do more business with Australian companies, actually we are excited about it.
Yeah.
So given the close proximity and links between Malaysia and Australia, so this will make communication, service, and logistics much easier. So we also believe Australia manufacturers require higher quality products. Well, this is fully in line with Alumac brand promises, which is co-engineering, quality, and service. In fact, we have been exporting to Australia for more than a decade.
Oh.
So therefore, we have some experience dealing with Australian companies.
Fantastic. Yeah, as you said, you know, the cultural fit is very strong. There's a lot of expats, a lot of people such as yourself who have got, you know, that student connection as well. So there is a really warm way of doing business between Australia and Malaysia, and I'm sure the quality that Alumac offers is definitely of the highest standard for companies to really reach out and speak to you. What's the best way? I know that we can speak to MATRADE here in Australia. They can contact Jamila or Julius and the team and find out how to get in touch with you, CT. But for the viewers who want to look at the websites or any other marketing opportunities, what's the best way they can find out a bit more about Alumac?
Okay, to all viewers, the viewers can find out more about us in our website, which is alumac.com.my, or drop us an email at inquiry@alumac.com.my. And most certainly, viewers can contact MATRADE for one-on-one e-meeting with us. And we're really grateful for MATRADE and Import Export TV for this interview opportunity.
Thank you so much. It's absolutely our pleasure, CT. I think it's a privilege to have you on the show. I'm sure many viewers out there can already thinking about how many applications they can talk to you about. And as you say, MATRADE do an amazing job making sure that they can put you in touch and they can create those one-to-one missions. Even though we can't travel directly very easily at the moment because of the pandemic, they can still reach out to you, have a chat with you like we are right now via Zoom or via digital chat, and make sure they can still start building those relationships with you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Lauren. We really look forward to have more Australian companies getting to know Alumac Malaysia more. Thank you.
Thank you, CT. My pleasure. Stay safe, and we look forward to sometime meeting in the future, sometime soon.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. So there you've heard from CT Ong, the CEO of Alumac over in Malaysia. He wraps up the number of companies that we've interviewed now on this mid-tier company Market and Immersion series for MATRADE on Import Export TV. It's been an absolute pleasure to have them on the show. But before we wrap up the series, we're going to cross back where I'll talk to Jamila, Julius, and from MATRADE, as well as Mike Anderson from AMBC, about some other tips and advice and how you can get in touch with all of them to support these fantastic opportunities to grow your business between Malaysia and Australia. So we'll be back straight after this break. So Jamila, Mike, Julius, now that we've heard from all these fantastic companies, I'm sure there's many viewers here in Australia who want to reach out. What's the best way they can get in touch, and what tips and advice would you give Australian companies who are viewing this episode?
First of all, thank you for watching this video. We hope that through this interview session with the Malaysian companies, the interested buyers have some idea what Malaysian companies can offer to you and also to the market. So for any interested party, you can always send us email. You can send to melbourne@matrade.gov.my, or you can call our office 03-9832-8600, or you can just drop by to our office, level 7, 432 St Kilda Road.
And Mike, from the point of view of AMBC, we talked about some of the compliance challenges and some of the things that companies need to be aware of. From your perspective, what are the tips and advice you'd like to give the viewers?
Well, I think the first thing is to ensure that people know how to get in contact with us. We have chapters in each mainland state of Australia, but the AMBC Victoria can be reached at secretariat@ambcvic.melbourne, or at the web through ambcvic.melbourne, and that's a good starting point. We need to be able to help companies that come from Malaysia into Australia, and we'll do what we can to assist them once they arrive.
And finally, Julius, obviously the companies that have been showcased on these two episodes are just the tip of the iceberg. There's many more opportunities for Australian companies to contact your team here at Jamila and inquire about product sourcing and a whole range of opportunities to do business with Malaysia. What's the best way for them to, any other tips and advice you'd like to give to the viewers?
Thank you, Lawrence. I always like to tell the people that I meet that in my line of work, I get to see the best of Malaysia. And I do believe that this is true. The companies that we feature have gone through the mill. They have done it tough, and they've come out on top. So we are very excited to be able to introduce to you these companies that come to Australia. I invite you to contact me directly at melbourne.julius@matrade.gov.my. Thanks.
Thank you all for participating in such a fantastic, groundbreaking series for the virtual mid-tier company immersion program. So look forward to keeping in touch, and I'm sure you'll get many inquiries for both MATRADE here in Australia and AMBC to reach out for their services. So thanks again, and we'll keep in touch over the coming months and make sure that we can help you with more visibility for all the great opportunities with Malaysia and Australia.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you.